Welcome back to Max's Garage Mall. I've been getting some emails and some questions in various places like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, a few other places asking how to install these seat deck lift strut kits. And they're not just so much for the lifting the seat, because that's not the reason why I'm using those. I put it on there to limit the travel of the seat so that it no longer can allow the seat to make contact with the, well, first of all, you don't want the seat fabric making contact with the foot deck, or especially the lift pedal, the deck lift pedal. So I'm going to show you real quickly what you get in the kit. Kit will, if you get a single strut lift kit, and limiter kit, you're going to get a single strut. This is what they look like right here. This is the one I use, and this is one I recommend. It's not a 70 pound, it's not a 65 pounds. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of around 30 to 45 pounds, and it does a really nice job. And this is, like I said, the one I use. You'll get one of those in a single. If you get a double, you'll get two of those. You're going to need some, and this is aircraft quality aluminum. I think it is 6061. It will accept a thread really well, so that's one of the reasons why I like to use it. It's also very stiff. This is like a 1/8 inch thickness, and it's a 1.5 by 1.5. That's really all you need. You're going to get the appropriate length of this for a Hustler Raptor or Big Dog Alpha. If you get a dual kit, you'll get 2 struts, and you'll get 2 lengths of this. You'll get these and there's a few more comes with it. I think it's 5. This is how many you actually need, is 3. That's really all you need. But I'm going to send you 5 because you're going to drop 1 or 2, so you're going to need a spare. So we're going to send you 5 of these self-tapping 1/4 inch flange head bolts. The ball mounts are on the machine. I should have brought a pair out here, but I did not. I will show you what they look like shortly. That's pretty much what you're going to get in the kit. You can get this pre-painted in a black satin to match the fenders. That's how I like it, and I'm going to paint mine, which I haven't done that yet because I thought, well, since I'm going to make a video on it, then we may cut and split the video several times so that you'll see it going from this beautiful aluminum color to the black satin. I've got them more partially taken apart right now because I'm adding an RPM gauge, a tachometer, to the machine. And the way I'm doing it, I'm going to actually come off the flywheel. So actually I'm adding 2. I'm adding one for total time, so that when you are mowing, you have a total time for your tack, which gives you an hour meter on it, and all I want to do is see how long it took me to mow. So that's a different deal, but I've got them more apart for that, and we'll see if you notice that. You will now. So the tools you're going to need. You're going to need a tape measure. You probably won't need a screwdriver, but it never hurts to have a screwdriver. You're going to need a drill motor and various drills. I've got a 7/64 and a 1/4 inch here for the ball mounts. I've also got the old trusty step drill that I really like. And then in order to put these self-drilling flange head screws in, then I use one of these right here in an impact wrench, and this makes real quick work of it. Real quick work of it. So after you get that done, and I used that word, I promised I wasn't going to use that again. However, I did. After you get the holes drilled, we're going to mount this. We're going to have to do some sliding. We're going to slot the back to go over the fender mount. Then we're going to stay below the fender and go forward. We're going to put this under the front frame mount where your sticks are located. And we're going to put 2 holes in this And then we're going to have to make sure that we contour this aluminum back like this. And what that is for is to make sure that you can maintenance and take care of lubricating, like your the factory gas shock that's for your steering, as well as the ball mounts and such as that for your steering. You also makes it easier to get down here to your steering safety switches in case you have to adjust those. So here's what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to slot this, you're going to have to contour this, and I sell the kits in two different ways. You can get it where I've contoured it, or you can save some money and you can contour it yourself after you see the instructions. It's pretty simple. We're going to use a 7/16 inch end wrench and a 1/2 inch end wrench, which I like to use the ratchet type wrench on the nut. You don't have to use that, but it makes it a little simpler. You're going to need some sort of punch, a nice little sharp edge on it, point on it. So you're going to use this pretty blue tape, or whatever you happen to have. You want to mark the metal. Instead of marking on the metal, I recommend using some sort of painter's tape or duct tape or whatever you happen to have. That will remove fairly easily and not leave any residue. This works really well. And I'm going to show you how to do that, what the location points are. And again, we're going to show you exactly what you have to do to install this and to make it a very successful and efficient seat limiter, seat deck limiter, so that your seat doesn't go forward. I happen to have on mine, for you that have watched the videos before, you know that there is a suspension seat kit as well as a seat slider, so that raises the seat around 4 inches from the deck height of the top of the deck. So that makes it even go further forward when this seat moves forward like this. Hello. When the seat moves forward, you want to limit that travel because it'll go all the way over. So what you want to do is make sure that when we limit that, we use something, and listen, there's all kinds of ways to do it. Again, for those that recognize my videos and have been here before, you know that I've used some flat industrial nylon rope. Works really well and not so pretty. It's also in your way most of the time. Mr. Michael Jesse did a really innovative measure, and what he took was and shout out to Michael Jesse. He's a great guy, does some great things on his video channel. You need to go by there and see him. Show him a little love. He does a recoil dog leash, cuts the thing off the length. He makes the mount and mounts it to the rear fender mount and slash seat spraying mount that your seat deck comes down on, and he does a really nice job, and that limits the forward travel. And since it's in the center of the machine, it's really not in the way so much, and it looks really good. He's going to put one of these on his machine, he told me just the other night, and I don't really blame him. It's sort of out of the way, it looks really neat and clean, and we'll show that to you shortly. So let's go ahead and get in there to the machine, set up some lights, get the tools, and I'm not sure how far I'll tear it down just to put it back together, but since I want to paint it black and I'm waiting on the tachometer and a couple other pieces to arrive, and they're already a couple of days late, I thought I might have this done before I did this, but that's the way it goes. We're going to get this done right now and get started, so we shall be back with you shortly. Alrighty, here we are out here at the machine, and let's see if I can get getting in here a little closer. Alright, right down there is the ball mount, and as you can see, the shock is attached to the ball mount there, and this is going from the front of the machine to the rear of the machine, and it's underneath the fender, and then it goes to the front and it's underneath the plate where the steering goes through, and you'll still see a left all the metal chips and everything so you can see that I've done some drilling here. And that's what yours is going to look like. You're going to need to blow it off and wipe it off, whatever you need to do. A lot of times I'll blow it off and then go back and use a magnet. So right up here is your upper ball mount that's on the seat deck. And there is your seat deck right there. As you can see, it's forward. And you want to make sure when you do this that you're keeping the seat where it can't travel any further forward. You can let it go a little further forward than this. However, if you notice that from vertical it's just about 7 degrees, and that's really all you need. That's enough with the weight of the seat and the seat slider on mine and the suspension seat. There's a lot of weight on this thing. I mean a lot of weight, so that's really all you want on there. And that'll do the job. Now, what we're going to do is set up the camera over here. So we come back around to this side. And once we get over here, hopefully we can get you a good angle so that you can see what we're going to do. Maybe I should come back over to this side and get the measurements for you first so that you see where we want to put this bolt right down here. The distance you want it and why you want it that far. We'll get you that information in just a moment. Let me get the camera set up. And as always, the Max will be back shortly in all these little segmented pieces. Alrighty, let's see if you can see this okay. Do you see the blue tape right over here? It's like a nose on your face, right there. Alright, the center of this bolt is the center of the seat deck pivot to the frame. We want to make sure that this is 2 inches from the center of this bolt to the center of the hole, locating mount hole for the ball mount. And there it is, right on time. You start doing some filming using this light, and I guarantee you, it's going to go ahead and strobe like that. I don't know who's paying it, but when I find out who it is, I'm going to raise the bid to get them to stop. So we're going to do this. There's several different ways of doing this. I've got a few tools here to show you that you can use. You can use, and I of course always like to recommend that you use the trusty Max's Garage Mahal 25-foot tapes available here at Max's Garage Mahal, of course. And they work wonderfully. And they do, every time you buy one, they do help support the new videos and the purchasing parts and such as this. So if you can see that, let me see if I can get you a little closer. Okay, gotta get my finger on this thing. I know I need to put a remote control on this somehow, but don't know how to do that. Alright. Now then, can you see that right there? That's 2 inches, center to center. And that's exactly what you want, is 2 inches. Alright, what other tools can you use? You can use your little school. Let me back up. You probably have one of these sitting around the house somewhere. You probably had that since the 3rd grade. Alright, you can do this from center to center. It's 2 inches. Okay? If you're a machinist, you probably have a pocket scale. Everyone needs a pocket scale, whether you're a machinist or not. From there to there, that's 2 inches. Well, if you're a master machinist, you probably have both kinds of pocket scales, and I happen to be a master machinist, so I've got all kinds of these measuring tools. And this one right here is going to show you that it's 2 inches as well. Now, once you have the 2 inches, you know where it's located. One of the first things you did was what? You put tape on there so that you don't mark directly on the seat deck itself. So this represents the paint that the tape that was on there, and we're going to go ahead I'm going to show you another simple tool that you can use. I loaned out my stinking tri-square and my machinist square a while ago that I like to use, and I forgot I was going to shoot this stinking video, and he hadn't brought it back yet. So this is going to be a little bit long, but if you've got a smaller angle or square, you get the idea. You can put it in here. You can go from the other side like that and bring it in on your 2-inch mark, draw a straight line across there, and then what we want to do is we want to take we want to go a little bit less than half. Now you can fudge on this a little bit. What I did was I came back to this side just a whole whopping 1/16 of an inch, and the reason why I did that is when I get this seat down, I don't want this shock moving in and out with this seat pivoting at the back. I don't want that seat pivoting at the back causing this shock to move in and out. So that's important to do that. And the reason for that is the stroke life of these things on these seals to keep the gas inside the shock. Some of these things are like 15,000 to 25,000. Some are 200,000. And if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not going to really tell you what these are, but when I talked to the people I bought these from, they said these usually are somewhere between 200 and 250,000 strokes. If you're a commercial mower, that may be a lifetime of 10 years or maybe 15, I don't know. On a residential, I'm sure that this is probably going to outlast me and probably the next 2 owners, because quite honestly, how much are you going to mow in this lifetime of this machine? Probably 1,000 hours, 1,200 hours, 1,500 hours, something like that. So that's not going to be that many strokes, because you're not going to raise and lower the seat as much as I'm going to making these videos. Now, the next thing that I want to show you is after we have drilled this hole, and as you know, you're going to punch it. Then you're not like with your fist, you're going to punch it with a metal punch. You're going to punch it to make a dent. Then you're going to take a smaller drill bit. It can be an 1/8 inch, it can be any small drill bit, as long as it's wide enough to give your larger drill bit a little bit of indentation so that it's got a hole for that point to fit down inside. But that's as big as it needs to be. And then you're going to go ahead and drill it with your 1/4 inch drill bit, and that will get you a location for this ball mount. Then you're going to go ahead and put your ball mount in, tighten it up. I used a washer on either side. Actually, I didn't use a washer on this side over here. This has got a flange on it, so I put this straight through, put the washer on this side, so as I kept this one tight and immovable, I didn't allow it to move. Then I tightened this side, so I put a washer on it to keep from scratching the paint. Now, with that said, we're going to reset the camera, reset the lights. We're going to take the camera to the other side, and we're going to shoot across this way. I'm going to take a look and see if you can see what I'm doing from the very back. I'm not sure that you can. Once I find out what we've got going on, or how the lights and the camera needs to be set up, then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove the shock, remove this piece of angle, and show you how that needs to look. You're really going to want to do this to your machine. Now, so far, only thing I've got a kit for is the Hustler Raptor Big Dog Alpha. So here we go. We're going to go over to the other side for a few moments and get set up. Alrighty, here we go again. So we're going to go ahead real quickly and pop these screws right here loose. We're going to lay these right here on top of the fuel cell. And maybe from an earlier video, you'll recognize these fender washers that we cut to fit into these areas. As you can see, this one hasn't been painted. We are also going to paint these screws here. And let me get this out of the way now. Alright. Now, what I was going to say to you earlier, if you remove this from the equation, what's going to happen is this is going to go forward. So you know what? I'm going to go get the old nylon rope that y'all are accustomed to seeing. Y'all remember this? I bet you do. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put this right back in here for a moment. Tie this sucker just like this. We're going to come in here and do this and tie us a nice little square knot. Alright, that'll hold till the cows come home. Now we're going to go right over here. Go through this. Right here. You know, I think it's a different piece of rope, but it'll still work. I may have changed that screw location a little bit. I mean, that end down there is probably tied in a different location as well. So you're going to get to see this on the video, because I'm not going to cut it. I don't think. I might, but I don't really see any reason for it. Gotta have a little slack there, seat. I probably could be a surgeon. What do you think? Tying this with one hand? Alright, now we're going to go ahead. We're going to take this right here. We're going to put it right over here. And we're going to take this one loose. This is the original fender bolt here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4 fender bolts on your machine, and I'm sure you're already aware of that. And you only have to take, I tell you what, just to make sure we don't have any snags, we'll loosen this a little bit. But we're not going to take this one loose back here. We are going to take this off. Let me get a flat blade screwdriver and we'll pop that thing loose. Now there she is. She's off. As you can see, there's your other ball mount right there. And you're going to do the same thing here. You're going to put your tape on here and you're going to locate. Of course, you're going to have this mounted by this time before you start to figure out where your hole's going to go. Left this on here, the blue tapes, that you can see that this process was put in place now. When I get ready to paint, I'm going to take this off, remove the paint, sand all this, and then at that point in time, then we'll reassemble it. Of course, won't be any tape on it. So we'll walk over here and get closer to the camera. And this is the contour we're talking about right here. This contour is very important. There's your two mounting locations. This is going to mount, these two screws and bolts are going to go through your deck right here. That's what's going to hold this up and keep this steady. In the back, this is very important right here. This is your slot I've mentioned earlier. And you've got to have a slot in here in order for it to straddle the fender mount back here and give it some rigidity in the back. You could go up below it, but you want to be able to remove the fender. So what you're going to do, and let me stop this and replace the battery real quick before we run out of battery. I apologize. Be right back. Alrighty, battery replaced. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to drill this. So how do we drill this? We're going to go ahead and get our location. This is going to be mounted to the machine. Then we're going to measure and get our location. We're going to mark this. We're going to use a square on it to get our ideal height. And on this one, it can actually be dead center. You can put this right in the center, which is what I did. And the reason for that is we want to make sure it's down below the seat. So as this seat mount moves up and down, it doesn't strike this in any way. and this takes care of that very, very well. So with that in place, then we can go ahead and drill our rear mount, and it's going to go through both the fender, this, and we want to go through the fender mount, the steel fender mount back here. So make sure you do that, and then this will be ready to take the load. You can then mount your shock and or strut. I guess I shouldn't call it a shock because it really isn't. Once that's done, you can go ahead and mount everything back together, put it together, and then this will be pretty much done. Now, I like to paint things to match the mower, so what we're going to do is we're going to use this, and it matches really well the fenders. We're going to use this Krylon Color Master. Get you in the Color Master Satin Black right here. That does a really nice job. About $6 a can. It'll paint quite a few things. But we're going to paint all the stuff that should be black, in my opinion, so that nothing sticks out. Then we'll look as though this was a factory mount, and that's what we want. Okay, so we'll be back here shortly, and it's, I think, 26, 28 degrees or something like that. So this is not going to dry right away, so it's probably going to be a day or two before we can remount this, but we'll get this finished up, get it out to you. Alrighty, here are the ball mounts that you'll be using. It's 10 millimeter, has a 7/16 inch hex head here, and it has a 1/4 inch shank, threaded shank, and it's 1/4 20. Comes with a lock nut. I like to use these cadmium plated washers, and that matches the other equipment on the machine. A lot of it is cadmium plated, a lot of it is zinc plated, and for the parts that are in the steering, they're all cadmium plated, so I like to use cadmium. And I will show you here in a moment how this looks. And let's see if you can see the look of the painted product. So we'll go ahead and put this together and start reassembling, and we'll show you real quickly how this is done. There are 2 cadmium washers, and let's see here. I know I'm not where you can see me, but I will be here shortly. So we're going to take 1 cadmium washer, and we're going to put the rounded part out. And you can always tell the way a washer's stamped. There's going to be a smooth rounded side and a flat side. The flat side is the one that I'm going to put toward the, it's going to go just like this. We're going to put a washer, cadmium washer, on the inside. Over there, on the non-painted side, you could put a zinc or some other sort of plated washer in there, and that would be just fine. Now you're going to ask, why do I not paint the inside? The reason why I don't paint the inside is when you're under this machine working, you want to be able to have the light refraction to help. If you have a light in here, you want to be able to refract the light and reflect the light back down to the inside to help you see all the parts that you want to maintain down there. So again, this is what it's going to look like when you get it reassembled. And then you're going to put it here. Let me go ahead and tighten this up. There's no sense in me doing this twice, now is there? So we're going to go ahead and tighten this up. And we're going to use the 7/16 inch wrench here. You could use a boxing on there if you like. And we're going to put the ratchet wrench on the inside. We're going to tighten this thing up really well, because it's going to be bouncing and jouncing all over the place. You don't want the thing to come loose. Even though it has a lock nut, that's a possibility. Alright, so, and there's that word again. Y'all gonna have to put in the comments down below what you'd like for me to quit saying. So is one of them for me. So, go ahead and put your comments down below. Now we're gonna put this in here. We're gonna go ahead and put this on top of the fender mount. We're gonna put this below the mount frame right here. Go ahead and line it up. We're then going to take this washer or this screw and line this up right here. Just like that. And we will then put this right here. We're going to take this one right here. And I'm not sure how well you can see that. Hopefully well enough. And we're going to snug her down. Then we're going to go ahead and then we're going to install the strut where it belongs. Like this, right there. We're going to untie our rope, we hope, one-handed. And there you have your seat shock installed, your strut. And I'll see if I can get this off of the camera mount so we can move this around. Maybe you can see a little bit better. Bear with me. I'm going to turn this around where I can see what you're seeing. Alright. So there you go, guys. And that's what she looks like when I'm in your light. Still in your light. Alright. Let's see here, guys. Let me move the tripod. That sucker is in your way. It's in your way because it's in my way. Alright, so now there I'm out of the light. And you don't really see that piece of metal anymore. And it looks, to me, it looks really professional, guys. And professional is how a job should look when you're done with it. And if you notice that the, sorry about this, having to put my monitor back on here. The bolts now are all painted. The silver ones are silver, that should be silver. And go down through here and it just disappears except for that rope. That rope's right in your eyes. And all that just disappears. All you see now is the factory fender. You see the shock, the strut lift, and it looks pretty nice, I think. So that should answer your questions on how to do it and why you put things where. The distance from toward the rear, I'm not going to give you at this point in time. And the reason for that is that's the distance for the particular gas-filled strut lift shock that I use. And this is the one I would recommend. So whatever you happen to use to do yours, if you buy one of my kits, that's the shock you're going to get, the strut. And at that point in time, then I'll be more than happy to give you the instructions and the distances and all that nonsense. So we hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, share this video with others. We'd really appreciate that. And by all means, hit that notification button because there will be more videos coming out. We appreciate it once again. Thank you for coming by Max's Garage Mahal. And y'all come back and see me now. You hear?